Chapter 5. The Road Through Europe and the Channel Crossing. Under the shadows of the Eiffel Tower and amidst the bustling streets of Paris, I found myself lost and alone, with the weight of Europe on my shoulders. The road through Europe was a labyrinth of challenges, a test of my resilience and faith in humanity. Each step forward was a reminder of the absence of Kamau, the love I left behind. The Channel, a tumultuous divide, stood before me as the final hurdle to England, the promised land that held the possibility of reunification with Kamau. But as I stood on the precipice, facing the violent waves and the vigilant eyes of the border patrol, the path ahead seemed insurmountable. Join me as I recount the trials and tribulations of traversing through Europe and facing the final showdown at the Channel. Walk beside me as I navigate through the alien streets, confront the hostile faces, and grapple with the incessant tide of uncertainty and fear. This is the story of my journey, a testament to the indomitable spirit of survival and the unyielding hope that fuels the quest for a better future. Summer bloomed across Europe in all its glory, but for me, it brought little cheer. The year 2023 was proving to be as harsh and unforgiving as the ones that had come before it. The journey from Italy to France was fraught with risks. I found myself at the mercy of smugglers once more, my life amounting to nothing more than a few €100 to them. The back of their unventilated truck became my world for those horrifying hours, packed with other desperate souls like myself. The sickening smell of sweat and fear hung heavily in the air as the truck hurtled through the perilous routes. I emerged in France, a country renowned for its culture and sophistication. Yet to me, it represented yet another harsh landscape of indifference. My life became a brutal routine of searching for work, dodging authorities, and enduring the cold gaze of the locals. While the city buzzed with the energy of the summer tourists, enjoying the best of what Europe had to offer, I was confined to the shadows, invisible and unwanted. Sleep was scarce, rest a fleeting memory. I found shelter in makeshift refugee camps on the outskirts of Paris. While the city of love and light sparkled in the distance, we huddled together for warmth, our dreams of a safe haven dwindling with each passing day. The scars of exploitation were etched deep into my spirit, but it was the indifference that stung the most. These were the countries, the cities whose relentless industrialization had contributed to the devastation of my homeland, forcing us to abandon our homes and embark on this dangerous journey. Yet, they seemed oblivious to the chaos their actions had caused, the lives they had upended. I couldn't help but feel a bitter irony in the fact that these lands, so lush and rich, were the ones most indifferent to my plight. The same countries that had polluted and pillaged without thought were now closing their doors to us, ignoring the human catastrophe they had played a part in creating. In those lonely weeks in France, Kamau's absence was a gaping hole in my heart. I found myself speaking to his photograph, recounting my day, the people I'd met, the hardships I'd faced. His silent presence became my solace, his memory a beacon guiding me through my darkest days. Despite the tribulations, the goal remained clear. I needed to get to England. In my heart, I was convinced Kamau would make the same journey. It was a desperate hope, one that was often shaken by the harsh realities of my journey, but it was all I had. As summer inched towards its peak, I found myself boarding yet another cramped vehicle, my hopes pinned on reaching England. The English Channel lay ahead, a stretch of water that held the promise of a reunion, of a life where Kamau and I could be together once more. The dangers were many, the odds unfavorable, but I was ready to face it all. For Kamau, for us. The English Channel, a strip of water that stood as the final obstacle between me and my destination. I had crossed deserts, survived a dangerous sea journey, and traversed foreign lands, but this final stretch filled me with more dread than ever. It wasn't just the physical distance, but the emotional chasm it represented. the uncertainty of Kamau's fate, and the overwhelming fear of what awaited on the other side. We were crammed into a small dinghy in the dead of night, our only guide the dim glow of a handheld GPS. Around me, huddled figures clung desperately to each other, eyes wide with fear. The sound of the engine was drowned out by the thundering of my heartbeat. I held on tightly to Kamau's photo, whispering prayers into the cold night. As dawn broke, we spotted the shadowy outline of the English coastline. Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. Suddenly there was shouting, frantic pointing. Through the morning mist, I saw them, a group of figures on the beach, waving angrily. Vigilantes. Their shouts reached us over the water, a barrage of hateful words and threats. They were in a small motorboat speeding towards us. Panic ensued. People screamed, huddling closer. The boat rocked dangerously as they tried to capsize us. Their faces were twisted with anger, but I saw no humanity in their eyes. Here, on the shores of a land that promised safety, we were met with hostility. In the chaos, the dinghy tipped. People fell into the icy waters. The sound of their screams will haunt me forever. I clung to the boat, my fingers numb, gasping as the cold water lapped at my legs. The vigilantes seemed to enjoy our terror, their laughter echoing over the water. Then, in the distance, a siren. A Coast Guard vessel approached, its lights cutting through the morning mist. The vigilantes retreated, but the damage was done. Our boat was sinking. People were in the water, struggling. I kicked, swam, fought. The water was freezing, my limbs growing heavy, but I couldn't give up, not when I was this close. I thought of Kamau, the promise we'd made. I wouldn't let this be the end of our story. I wouldn't let the sea claim me. With a final surge of strength, I reached the beach, collapsing onto the cold sand, gasping. The Coast Guards were helping the others, pulling them to safety. I lay there, shivering, looking back at the turbulent waters that had almost claimed my life. England had welcomed me with its harshest face. Yet I was here. I had made it. In the days that followed, I was processed, questioned, moved. I ended up in a detention center surrounded by high walls and watchful guards. England, the promised land, was nothing like I'd imagined. But then again, nothing about this journey had been. As I settled into this new reality, one question burned in my heart. Where was Kamau? Was he alive? Did he make it? As the days turned into weeks, my hopes dimmed. I was in England, but I felt more lost than ever. The last divide had been crossed, but my journey felt far from over.
This is chapter 5 of a 6-part short story. The easiest way to watch or listen to the other 5 parts of this story is to either subscribe to the Romance Diaries on YouTube or click on the link in the description below. If you subscribe to the Romance Diaries, you can also enjoy other stories of love, romance, heartache, cheating and betrayal, and by clicking on the notification bell at the same time, we can let you know every time we bring out a new video. And if you would like to experience your own real-life romance, why not click on one of our sponsors, which you will also find in the description.